Hello there, good morning. It is the first day of August 2022. A happy new month. This is Morning Cafe. My name is Eric Munene, and of course sitting in for Linda Alela. We hope you're having a great day from wherever you are watching us from. It is about 3 minutes past 6. Hoping you have a good morning. I want us to dig right into it for the newspaper review. This is the Daily Nation today. The shape of Mount Kenya, that is where a lot has been happening for the past 5 years. Deputy President William Ruto, it's talking about how Ruto wrenched the mountain away from an unsuspecting Uhuru, and why Raila is always presenting, is an ever-present danger. It's a story, of course, a special reporting by Mutuma Matthew, John Kamau, and Alex Ndegwa. Let's see what they say here. Well, Ruto resting easy in Mount Kenya faces a Raila onslaught. Well, and of course you can see they've done a couple of interviews for people from the Mount Kenya region. Well, the article is quite lengthy, but basically it's talking about how Ruto has had the Mount Kenya voters under his grip, but how Raila has also made his case against Ruto in Mount Kenya, and why he is presenting a very strong case, and how also Raila might take all the votes from Deputy President William Ruto. The people are saying the article is actually talking about him being overconfident, but then again Raila has made he's made a strong case and might actually go away with a lot of voters. Let's see. Unease in Mount Kenya as Uhuru term ends. This is on page 4 of the Daily Nation, and of course it's talking about the succession dilemma. President Uhuru Kenyatta has been in power since 2013, and for the first time since the advent of multipartyism in the country, Mount Kenya region does not have a strong presidential candidate. This is the first time, but again the region seems to have two strong running mates. That is of course One Kenya Alliance running mate, that's Martha Karua, and of course Rigathi Gachagua, who is the United Democratic Alliance running mate. But still, according to the writers here, well, dilemma, there is where President Uhuru Kenyatta finds himself in a remarkable turn in fortunes in a decade that he had an iron grip on the region's political direction. And well, of course, in less than 2 weeks, he'll know whether his trump card worked or will suffer Moi's ignominy. Let's move on to page 6 of the Daily Nation, the evolution of Mount Kenya politics. This is quite interesting. And as I've just mentioned, for the first time since the advent of multipartyism, the region does not have really a strong presidential candidate. There has been intrigues, there has been plotting for the last 10 years that President Uhuru Kenyatta has dominated the Mount Kenya politics. And well, on page 6 of the Daily Nation, we're seeing how politics has changed in the Mount Kenya region. It's a vote-rich region, and any serious presidential candidate will definitely want to have his or her name dominate that particular area of the country. Page 8 of the Daily Nation, we will take you to court. Munya tells millers as he alleges hoarding. This is a hot potato. Well, Agriculture Cabinet Secretary Peter Munya has issued a stern warning to millers whom he accuses of hoarding maize flour. Remember, the government released a maize subsidy to cushion Kenyans from the high cost of living and to, of course, make unga quite affordable. But then again, Munya says there are millers that are hoarding and making households in the country quite vulnerable. And he says that that is something that they are going to revisit. And on the same page, Uhuru commissions Nairobi Expressway and Eastern Bypass. These are some of the projects that President Uhuru Kenyatta has, let me say some of the landmark projects that he is going to be remembered for. President Uhuru Kenyatta officially commissioned the Nairobi Expressway. That was yesterday, saying that the 70 billion shillings project has not been financed through debt or government funds. And of course, he was speaking at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport toll station, praising the project and saying that it is going to revolutionize transport in Nairobi. Well, an interesting story on page 10 of the Daily Nation. I have no intentions of harming you, Uhuru tells Ruto. Remember, Deputy President's lieutenants have been talking about probably the government, the state, harming them. Quite some controversial remarks there by Rigathi Gachagua, who's the UDA running mate. He said that the state could probably be planning to harm them, but President Uhuru has, hit back at that United Democratic Alliance team, saying that he has never harmed them and he has no intentions of harming them. So he says, should Kenyans decide to vote for you, well and good. Should they choose otherwise, we'll go home together and life will go on. That is President Uhuru Kenyatta, of course, to his deputy William Ruto. Quite interesting. That is on page 10 of the Daily Nation. It's captured there. And then right on the same page, Rigathi should be disqualified over 200 million shillings case. Raila says that was one huge blow to the United Democratic Alliance running mate last week when the court seized his 200 million shillings and forfeited it to the state. Raila says that should be grounds for him to be disqualified to run alongside Deputy President William Ruto as his running mate. Azimio la Umoja, One Kenya Alliance now wants United Democratic Alliance deputy presidential candidate to be disqualified over 200 million shillings graft case. Remember, it's just less than, let's say, 7 days. It's actually 7 days to the general election. This is quite interesting. I'll see how that pans out. And IEBC says that we are ready for August elections. Well, the commission says that it is ready for next week's elections, assuring Kenyans that it will deliver a free and transparent exercise. Well, remember, there has been some concerns that, well, the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission is not ready, but the chairman, that is Wafula Chebukati, has consistently said that all candidates in the coming polls should rest easy because things are, well, there was some controversy about the company that is tasked with supplying the commission with technological support during the polls. That's Mathematic. The company has been accused before in other countries for mismanaging elections in other countries. Well, but Chebukati has told of critics saying that they have done everything possible to ensure that the elections are above board. Page 11 of the Daily Nation. Ruto accuses Uhuru of plot to disrupt elections. He's also urged youth not to fall into a trap, promising them jobs if he is elected. He says that well, the state is planning to bungle the coming polls to ensure that President Uhuru Kenyatta clings to power. Well, that is quite controversial as well, if you ask me. But, well, the president has severally said that he is ready to go home. There's nothing to worry about. So, well, that is on page 11 of the Daily Nation. You can check it out. Then, Wiper accuses Sonko of being a traitor by joining Kenya Kwanza. Deputy President William Ruto, there's a picture there, Deputy President William Ruto welcoming former Nairobi Governor, that is Mike Sonko, to Kenya Kwanza. He made the move last week, quite controversial, but the Wiper Party says that all this time he was supporting DP Ruto and UDA, but he decided to come out openly. Well, again, quite controversial there. However, we wish him all the best. That is Sheikh Omar Twaha, is a Wiper Democratic Alliance official. Well, that remains to be seen how that will pan out. Remember, Sonko was denied the opportunity by the courts. He was blocked by the courts maintaining that he's constitutionally unfit to hold any public office in the country. And so he had given his demands to the One Kenya Alliance and Azimio One Kenya Alliance about the race, the Mombasa gubernatorial race, and said that if he is not going to be supported by the wider alliance, he is going to bolt out and support someone else who is in UDA. And of course, that is Hassan Omar, the gubernatorial candidate for Mombasa. And that is what actually he did on Saturday after issuing the ultimatums on Thursday. Kiboro roots for credible, peaceful elections. Of course, that is the Nation Media Group chairman, that is Kiboro, who has called for a credible and peaceful election. Quite big, if you ask me, coming from the fourth estate. Well, and then, of course, on page 14 of the Daily Nation, on the opinion page, free, fair, and peaceful polls will boost tourism. And then let's take sports seriously. That is that's the stand of the Nation Media Group, rather. And then on the county news, that is on page 17 of the Daily Nation, political heavyweights clash in crowded senatorial race. There is going to be a clash here by political heavyweights. This is Governor Martin Wambora of Umoja and Maendeleo Party, is the current Embu governor. Senator Njeru Ndwiga, of course, is also running as an independent candidate. There's the Deputy Governor David Kariuki of United Democratic Alliance. Then former Youth and Gender PES Lian Bogo of Jubilee. She was embroiled in some scandal about 2 years ago. Then there's former Kamukunji MP Norman Nyaga, who's also an independent, a seasoned politician, also vying to be a senator. And then Nairobians to pay more water in new proposal. That is on page 18 of the Daily Nation. Residents oppose the planned move, saying it will make the commodity unaffordable. Of course, there's a proposed tariff that will see domestic and residential consumers with consumption between 1 and 6 units pay 45 shillings per unit of water, up from the current 34 shillings. That is on page 18 of the Daily Nation. Of course, city residents have rejected their proposals. You can grab yourself a copy of the Daily Nation and see why they are opposed to that. Let's cross over now to their standard. Numbers that show the huge task for IEBC. With 7 days to go to the elections, the IEBC has the critical duty to deliver a credible poll. So the logistics enormity is unprecedented. The reason why they're saying that the numbers are unprecedented and the logistical nightmares is because we have 46,233 polling stations. And of course, we have 22,120,458 registered voters, the highest number of voters ever in the country. And then a maximum voters per polling station is going to be, the maximum number of voters per polling station rather is going to be 700. And then Kenyans have the choice of 16,100 candidates. That is all the way from the presidential the seat to the governor's position, the Senate, the National Assembly, the woman representative, and as well as the member for county assembly, 16,100. That is the number. And then we have 65.2 million number of ballot papers. Quite interesting. And then IEBC this time round is also going to take ballot papers to 12 foreign countries. So we'll have diaspora voters voting in 12 countries. Quite interesting. On page 3 of the Standard, unsung heroes who lyrical prowess powers music industries. It's an interesting story. You may want to grab your copy of the Standard and see what he's talking about. And it's also talking about ghostwriting. It's a career that is thriving in this country. You might want to know what ghostwriting is. Basically, it's the art of writing and songs or any piece of art and basically not being credited for it. So it's saying the art of ghostwriting has seen some creatives take it up as a career, and some, they are often not credited rather enough for their work. Some big names there on page 3 of the Standard. There's Spitzon, there's BN, of course, of Sauti Soul. There's Moji Shot Baba and Viri. There's Ben Soul. Some heavyweights in the industry who ghostwrite. They write great songs, but then again, they're not credited for it. Page 4 of the Standard, go back to elections, Kivumbi 2022, IEBC's delicate balancing act of vital logistics in polling stations. And of course, talking about the numbers, they're crunching the numbers. As I said, 46,233 polling stations, quite a logistical nightmare for the independent body. So what does it mean for it? In April, IEBC estimated that more than 500,000 personnel will be spread countrywide on election day. What it takes to run a polling station: one polling station will have a queuing clerk, there's one presiding officer, one voter register clerk, 3 ballot papers issuing clerks, and then 1 ballot box controller who is also the inking clerk, then the political party and candidate agents. That's where it also gets interesting, because they are there to ensure that the polls are credible. Of course, sometimes it gets controversial. Then there's a media personnel, observers, and 2 police officers. That is in every polling station. Remember the number, 46,233 polling stations. Quite a huge number, if you ask me. Well, running a national tallying center, that is going probably to be at Bomas. Yes, it's going to be at Bomas. That is where the presidential returning officer, that is the IEBC chairperson, Wafula Chebukati, will be stationed at. We'll have the IEBC chairperson, IEBC commissioners, chief agents, observers, call center operators, ICT project team, media center for journalists, that was, of course, launched yesterday, and operational center to coordinate logistics. Well, that is on page 4 of the Standard. Where the polling stations are, Nairobi is the mother of them all. Polling stations in regions, Rift Valley has 12,359, Eastern region has 7,894, Nyanza has 6,382, Central 5,685, Western has 4,542, Coast 3,875, Nairobi 3,643, Northeastern 1,720. Prisons will have 106 centers to vote, and then diaspora will have 27. But then again, you've heard that those 27 are going to be distributed across 12 countries across the world. Nairobi has 2.4 million electorate and 3,643 polling stations. Lamu, with 81,453, has 191 polling stations. That's quite interesting. In numbers, Nairobi City County had 3,378 polling stations back in 2017, but there has been an increase of 265 polling stations, bringing the total to 3,643. The numbers are right there on page 5 of the Standard. Page 6 of the Standard, of course, that the story captured there is about Uhuru and his deputy, the back and forth that they've had for the past few days as we head to the elections. Uhuru saying that he had power, but he did not harm his deputy, William Ruto, so he should stop saying that there are plans by the state to harm him. I had power but didn't harm you despite your insults, Uhuru tells Ruto. He tells his deputy to stop lying to Kenyans that he wants to kill him. He also says that he has a right to support whoever he wants for the presidency. Remember, there was the issue of Yako Kumi, Yangu Kumi, but then again that changed when President Ruto Kenyatta decided to support his once for, that is Azimio la Umoja One Kenya presidential candidate, Raila Odinga. Well, Kenyatta has 30 days in office, quite interesting, but this could stretch into months. The election timelines provided for in the Constitution rather indicate that President Uhuru Kenyatta has a total of 30 days in office, and that is starting today, but also that will depend on whether the presidential poll produces an outright winner in the first round and the losers do not challenge the outcome in the Supreme Court. Well, his stay in office could stretch for several months if there's no outright winner in the first round, if we are going to have a runoff in next week's poll, of course, and if the losers will not also challenge the outcome of the election in the Supreme Court, that could stretch for months as Uhuru stays in office. And of course, page 7 of the Standard, Uhuru commissions his landmark road projects. As we said, that was just yesterday. The 27.8 kilometers Nairobi Eastern Bypass Road was expanded from a single 2-lane road to a dual 4-lane carriageway. And then contractor will revamp parts of Mombasa Road, Uhuru Highway and Wayaki Way at no additional cost to taxpayers. Of course, page 8 of the Standard, Raila taking a stab, hitting out rather at his nemesis, that is Ruto. Your leaders have failed you, Raila tells Rift Valley. Leaders from this region, that is Raila saying, leaders from this region who call shots impoverished farming, and we will revive agriculture by subsidizing all farming costs. That is on page 8 of the Standard. Of course, page 10 of the Standard, Matatu industry drifting back to bad days before Michuki rules. Quite interesting. There are some black spots there that they've mapped out, accident black spots in Kenya. They've mapped them out on page 10 of the Standard. You might want to grab a copy and see that. And of course, there's a special report there, cure for road accidents elusive amid religious and cultural rights. It's an interesting story. Then lastly, Ruto, Gachagua go all out to win difficult areas in Mount Kenya. Wow. So we have Sarai MP Charles Kanyi Njagua, he is saying that even if we elect Kenya Kwanza government and we don't have Gachagua foot soldiers, we shall have a less powerful deputy president. Justin Muturi, of course, the Speaker of the National Assembly, saying that Mount Kenya region is fully behind Gachagua. He demystified the Iron Lady Martha Karua during the deputy presidential debate. So, let's see the situation on our roads. Traffic updates. These are live traffic updates, as you can see on my screen right here. Well, let's look for the major highways in the country. So if you're coming from Mombasa Road, you can see traffic is quite smooth. Samia Business Park, Panari, all the way to Airtel Center. Let me see this. Yeah, there you are. Shows traffic is quite smooth. The South B areas, Lusaka Road, also all the way to the Nyayo roundabout and Langata. If you're coming from those areas, traffic is quite smooth, so you don't have to worry about the traffic situation in that area. Remember, these are live updates courtesy of Google. Something I'm actually looking for. Quite interesting. I can't really find it, but yeah. Just trying to see how Thika Road is currently. But anyway, still, you might want to leave early if you're coming from Thika Road. Now, even as the world marks World Day against trafficking cases of child labor, abuse and molestation at Mayela Ward in Naivasha continue to soar, with multiple cases affecting the vulnerable girl child. Our reporter Willie Dennis Njiru with this story.
As the world expresses solidarity with millions of victims of human trafficking by giving them back what had been stolen from them, hope. The situation in the outskirts of Naivasha remains wanting, with rising cases of child mothers and labor.
It is very serious kwa sababu every term huwa tuna lose about 10 girls through early marriages. Not just even early marriages, even because they are wamekuwa molested at home. Sasa wanaona afadhali watoke nyumbani waende kabisa.
Poverty, illiteracy, ignorance and drugs contribute immensely to the rising numbers despite interventions from government arms and non-governmental quarters.
Mambo ya fukara, wengine wanapelekwa wafanye kazi ya nyumba, sasa wanakosa shule. Wengine wanarudi baadaye wanatueleza ya kwamba nilikuwa nimeenda kufanya kazi nipate school fees, pate chakula.
Nikituma school fees nenda nyumbani. After nimeenda nyumbani, kesho yake sitakuja shule. Nitaenda kibarua ili niende nipate hiyo pesa nilipe ndo nipate kukaa kusoma.
Yangu nikwambia wale wanaofanya hivyo waje mtoto kama electoral orphan, take care of her or him.
Despite efforts to stop child marriages, labor, trafficking and sexual exploitation, the ward is leading with cases, with the principal to this Kipkonyo Primary School citing over 15 teen parents within the school.
Nilipokaa hivyo wakati wa COVID-19 nikapata mtoto. Nilipopata mtoto sasa ndio shida ikanikujia.
Area imekuwa na kiangazi kwa muda mrefu. Hivyo kwamba watoto wengi ndio wamekuwa wakitumika pale nyumbani kutafuta lishe kwao na pengine kwa wazazi. Kuna watu wengine ambao wanaelewa na wanajua ya kwamba ni vibaya sana kudhulumu mtoto, lakini kwa ile ignorance wanakatalia katika mambo hayo.
With technology to blame in either enabling or preventing the vice, in 2021 there were 1976 reported cases of child trafficking in Kenya, among them 996 girls and 980 boys. These not just numbers but voices that need to be amplified.
Hapa Kipkonyo na area hii yote ya Mayela, tunataka muache kuoza watoto wenu, wasichana wenu. Tunataka tuache kuoa hao watoto na kuwafunika.
Kipata maji tunaweza kujilimia chakula chetu hapa. Tuko na shamba kubwa na tunaweza kupata chakula ambacho kinaweza kusustain hawa watoto.
Reporting for TV 47 from Maela Ward in Naivasha, Nakuru County, I'm Willie Dennis Njiru.
Now, bar owners in Kirinyaga have pledged to close down their bars on August 9th, which is the election day, so as to make sure their customers are sober to make the right decision. The chairman of the Kirinyaga Bar Association, Kirinyaga County, Anthony Musheke, has said that the alcohol industry has been hit the most by the current county administration led by Governor Odinga, adding that part of the reason to close down the bars is to ensure as many people as possible turn out to vote sober and to vote in a county leadership that will listen to their part.
ya kufanya hii kazi, sababu wale viongozi tunao wamekuwa kitutatiza, tukijaribu kuongea na wao hawatusikizi. Na kwa hivyo tungetaka wakati huu tuelekea katika uchaguzi, tutakuwa makini sana ili tuchague wale viongozi wataweza kusikia yale yote tutakuwa tunapitia na shida zile tuko nazo, ili waweze kutatulia, ili tupate wasaa mzuri wa kufanya hii biashara. Vilabu vyote 4,500 zote tutapigia Wangoi Gireshe kura, ili sababu ametuahidi ya kwamba atakuwa na nafasi ya kutusikiza na angalia maslahi yetu.
Tumekuwa tukiongea na gavana wa Kirinyaga, tukitafuta gavana wa Kirinyaga kwa miaka 3 na tupei nafasi ya kuongea na yeye. So ikatumbidi mpaka tuende kotini, na kwa saa hii tuko kotini tukijaribu kutafuta njia ya kuongea ndio tuone tutainua Kirinyaga namna gani. Lakini imekuwa ngumu kupata gavana wa iguru. Kwa saa hii tumeona tutafute mwenye anaweza kusikiza masinda yetu na mwenye amekumbali kuongea na sisi na ametupromisi kukaa chini akisukua usukani kuanzia tarehe 10 mwezi ya 8 ni Wangoi Gireshe.
Siku ya uchaguzi hatutauza pombe, tutafunga biashara, sababu pia sisi hata kama tunafanya kazi ya biashara pia sisi ni wazazi. Tutakuwa na tunataka hata mtu akienda pale kuchagua akuwe mtu anajielewa. Sasa tutafunga kazi ndio tuende tumalize kazi hiyo ya kwenda kupiga kura, na baadaye tutarudia tu ile shughuli yetu ya kila siku.
Our schools will close on the 6th of August to pave way for the August polls. Now, Education Cabinet Secretary Professor George Magoha says learners will resume on the 15th of August after the presidential results are announced. Moige William reports.
According to the Ministry of Education, schools will be closed on August 6th to prepare for the upcoming general election on August 9. According to Education CAS George Magoha, schools will reopen on the 15th of August after the presidential results are announced.
We are breaking again on the 6th of next month for elections, and we shall not open until 15th. So it is very, very unfair to keep any child at home.
Education Cabinet Secretary has in the meantime expressed his concerns that the dates for national examination for both candidates in Class 8 and Form 1 scheduled to be held at the end of this year might be affected due to the upcoming general elections.
Should there be a repeat election during my tenure, which I hope not, then we shall make sure that it may then have to mean that we may have to sit down as stakeholders and see whether it will be fair to examine the children if they will have lost a considerable amount of time. And I really pray that that does not happen, because these children have suffered enough.
During his visit to Kiambu County to various secondary schools in Kikuyu constituency, CS Magoha explained the effect on education in the country if the presidential elections are repeated, stressing that the closing and opening dates of schools have not been rescheduled during the election period.
The principals, who are very few of them, who still have some children at home, to immediately bring them back.
However, Professor Magoha warned schools principals of allowing political meetings within school premises as campaigns enter home stretch.
That we don't want politics in schools because the children have a very short term. They have had several short terms, and it is only fair that they are left alone. And I think unless somebody goes without consultation, and that would mean then that I would ask the head of the school whether he or she is working for the politician or for the kids.
According to the schedule provided by the Ministry of Education, the third term will last for only 9 weeks, expected to start on the 26th of September 2022 and end on the 25th of November 2022. Candidates for the national examinations are scheduled to write the exam on 28th November this year to Monday 1st December 2022. Mwege William, TV 47.
Now, the country's security department has urged its officers to ensure a peaceful election. In a Thanksgiving and prayer ceremony organized in Marsabit, police officers were urged to provide services without failing to all Kenyans.
According to the county DCI boss Collins Oburu, politicians should use legal means to present complaints if they feel the election will not be free and fair.
Tunawahimiza ya kwamba sheria upo, mahakama iko, hapa Marsabit tuko na high court. So nahimiza sisi kama walinda usalama, wakati tunaongea na wanasiasa huko nje, pia tuwaeleze ya kwamba kama utakuwa na tashwishi lolote katika uchaguzi, usivurugu amani, kwa sababu ukivurugu sheria itakushika. Na kama unalalamishi, enda kwa level ya mahakama ambayo iko.
Speaking during the service, the head of reform at the criminal department in the country, Eliud Langat, has asked officers facing psychological challenges to report to their stations for help.
I want to urge the commanders to make use of the councillors that are available within the counties, available within the provinces, so that officers who have challenges may be able to be helped. And where possible, you let the various directorates within these various services get to know, and we will be able to come and help these officers.
Father Dominic Mwiti, who is a member of the police service in the eastern region of Kenya, has asked the people to be alert and ensure a peaceful election.
The citizens have known the problems are with those I don't want to mention them. There are some, not all of them, some of them is the problem. But the problem with the citizen is to follow them blindly. If you don't want to listen to me, why come stay at home? Sidio, kaa tu. Ikiwa utamchagua nini sasa, ikiwa utamchagua, hakuna mtu atakulazimisha kutoa hiyo kura yako kumpelekea.
Chichi Josephine, TV 47.
Now, Azimio One Kenya leadership has accused UDA presidential candidate William Ruto of causing panic in the country with unfounded allegations that some people are plotting to hurt him and his family. The Odinga-led team took its campaigns to Uasin Gishu County Sunday, further promising to boost agriculture in the area if elected. Andrin Kilemi reports.
The Azimio One Kenya flag bearer Raila Odinga toured his competitor DP Ruto's political backyard of Uasin Gishu County 8 days to the general election. Odinga, while addressing the crowd in Eldoret, called on Uasin Gishu residents to vote for candidates who are ready to fight corruption.
Atieni running mate. Tayari alishtakiwa na pesa ambayo alikuwa ameiba. Shilingi milioni 200 katika account yake. Akawa tried. Yeye ametoa ushahidi yake, mashtaka kitao ushahidi yake. Mahakama imeamua ya kwamba jamaa kweli alikuwa ameiba hiyo pesa. Na ka freeze hiyo pesa irudi kwa umma hapo. He should be disqualified. The candidate, Mr. Ruto, should disqualify his running mate, Mr. Gachagua.
The Azimio presidential running mate Martha Karua accused Deputy President William Ruto of causing panic among Kenyans with claims that he and his children were in danger over his political position.
Kama unahofia maisha ya yeyote kwa nyumba yako, tafadhali wapatie askari wa kutosha, na kama hawatoshi, wewe bado ni umeajiriwa na serikali ya Kenya, uliza uongezewe. Lakini usiweke nchi kwa hali ambayo si nzuri, ukidai na unajua sio ukweli ya kwamba familia yako imo hatarini. umekuwa unamtusi mdosi wako kwa muda mrefu na bado uko kwa serikali. Hata nimekuona ukitoka cabinet, tuliona kwa runinga wiki 3 zilizopita. Tunakuona ukienda airport kulaki mapresident wa nchi zingine kama makamu wa rais. Kama wewe huna usalama, nani Kenya atakuwa na usalama?
The Odinga-led team further promised to boost agriculture in Uasin Gishu County should Azimio la Umoja win in the August 9 general election.
Tutabadilisha kilimo kabisa. Tumepambana na makateo yale yako kwa kilimo, lakini hiyo kazi hatujamaliza. Tunataka mtupatie muda mwingine. Patie baba 9 August. Ndio tupate nafasi ya kupambana na hawa wezi. Tumalizane nao, mahindi ipone, wakulima wapone. Kilimo iweze kuenda mbele.
The Azimio One Kenya campaign trail continues to traverse different parts of the country in search of votes and is expected to rally Kiambu County Monday. Andrin Kilemi, TV 47.
Deputy President William Ruto, together with his Kenya Kwanza Brigade, addressed locals outside Buhungu Stadium in Kakamega County at the Webuye Road for 2 hours after they were denied access inside the stadium. And as Violet Oma reports, the leaders accused their opponents of using police and their positions to frustrate them instead of providing a level ground for all.
A Kenya Kwanza rally that was scheduled to take place 3 p.m. Sunday at Buhungu Stadium was held outside the stadium after they were denied access at the place.
If you have a problem with me, what about the 30 million Kenyans walikuwa wanataka kusikia kama uko na mpango ama huna mpango? Alitoroka hakutoroka. Alikimbia hakukimbia.
The Kenya Kwanza supporters who started arriving at the venue as early as 11 a.m. found the gates closed and police manning the place.
Hatutaki kukadhabishwa na kukuwa provoked by the government because sisi ni wapenda amani.
Hii stadium ni pesa ya wananchi au sio ya wananchi? Hii stadium imejengwa hapa Kakamega ili mkutano yoyote ifanyike hapa.
Bei ya unga hapa Kakamega ilikuwa 90.
Addressing locals by the roadside, Deputy President William Ruto, ANC's party leader Musalia Mudavadi, Moses Wetangula of Ford Kenya and other leaders who accompanied them accused their opponents of waging personal vendetta against them for no reason.
Mimi nataka nimwambie bwana Kitendawili, wewe angalia mimi ndio naibu wa rais wa Kenya. Mimi najua deep state, mimi najua system. Wewe ukidanganywa ati utapitishwa na deep state, mimi nakwambia my friend, tarehe 9 mwezi wa 8 utajua haujui.
Ukijaribu kulazimisha wa Kenya na Kitendawili, my friend, mambo itakuwa tofauti.
They condemned the incidents where Mumias East Member of Parliament Benjamin Washali was roughed up by police on Saturday at Buhungu Stadium, where he had gone to inspect the grounds before the Sunday's rally.
This is a historic moment. This is going to be a moment that we shall not forget. Kwa sababu wakati Obama alikuwa anakaribia kuwa rais wa Jamhuri ya Amerika, alisimama na aka-address Berlin, aka-address the world kutoka kwa streets, kwa barabara of Berlin. Leo, William Ruto is addressing the nation from the streets of Kakamega.
The leaders have urged locals to rally behind the Kenya Kwanza leaders who believe they have taken control of Western region that has been considered for a long time as an ODM stronghold.
Tunawaomba ndugu zetu, tarehe 9, it is not over until it is over. Ile kura unapiga, mama warudi nyumbani, wazee warudi nyumbani, vijana mulinde doria.
Watu wa Kakamega, muniamini, mimi nataka kukomboa Kakamega kutoka kwa mikono ya wale walagai ambao wamekuwa hapa wakitulagai.
Mnataka Rais Uhuru Kenyatta aende nyumbani taratibu na aweze kuingilia uchaguzi.
Hawa majamaa hawaelewi shida ya mwananchi. mkubali tutengeneze serikali ambayo inaelewa lugha na matatizo ya wananchi wa kawaida tarehe 9 mwezi wa 8. Kakamega, mnakubali jameni?
County government officials refused to comment on what led the DP-led team locked out of the stadium.
Mimi nauliza nyinyi, kama kitendawili angekuwa na agenda ama sera, si angekuja kukutana na mimi pale kwa debate?
Violet Auma, TV47, Kakamega.
Kenya ni yetu sisi zote.
Well, thank you, Violet, for that. Agano Party presidential hopeful Wahiga Mwaure has asked President Uhuru Kenyatta and his deputy William Ruto to stop exchanging bitter words in public rallies. According to Mwaure, Uhuru is missing the point when he attacks his deputy, and instead he should keep off from politics. Mwaure was speaking in Nairobi after attending a church service at Christ is the Answer Ministry, where he accused the two, saying the country is having peace and the two may cause violence if their bitterness is not dealt with.
Is for the last 3. So this is how you're supposed to tick or you cross. Just have to.
I'd like to call on my competitors and the various political formations to lower down the temperature of the things they are saying. These last few days we've witnessed a lot of raising of the temperature which can result in violence or the lack of peace. These insults must stop. I'm appealing to my competitors and specifically to the various coalitions, Kenya Kwanza and Azimio la Umoja. Stop bringing Kenyans into a state where they can rise up against each other. I also wish to call on our Deputy President and His Excellency the President. You are the leaders up to date of our nation. Please keep peace, lower your temperatures. The office of the President is very important. It needs respect. So is the office of the Deputy President. Jana kulikuwa na mkutano wa IEBC, lakini kama vile mliona wengi wetu tulikuwa kule tukikutana na nchi, lakini nilikuwa nimewakilishwa na vile walisema yale mambo ambayo yalikuwa yanaleta matatizo yalielewanwa. IEBC inajitayarisha. Wakenya uchaguzi huko na viongozi mko naye. Mimi mtatukuta huko ndani. Kwa hivyo mimi nina imani IEBC itaendelea. Wamesema wako tayari, vitengo vya usalama vimesema viko tayari.
Deputy President William Ruto has taken on President Uhuru Kenyatta, claiming he is planning to use the Interior Ministry to rig and cause chaos in the forthcoming presidential election in favor of Azimio presidential candidate Raila Odinga. Ruto and his Kenya Kwanza principals, who toured 5 counties in Western and the Rift Valley, claimed the plot and plan to use chiefs has been taking place in night meetings. Our senior political affairs reporter Apollo Kamau tells us more.
With 2022 election campaigns now on the home stretch, 8 days before the D-Day, Kenya Kwanza, led by Deputy President William Ruto, on a campaign tour of the counties of Nandi, Vihiga, Trans Nzoia and Kakamega counties, have put the blame on the election rigging claims squarely in the president's court. Ruto says chiefs and county commissioners are being used to hire people who will cause chaos and suppress voter turnout in the alliance strongholds.
Ati kwa uchaguzi machief watumike, ati kutafuta watu ambao watafuruga uchaguzi. Tunamwambia Bwana Rais, tafadhali, hakuna haja ya kuvuruga uchaguzi. Wacha Wakenya waamue bila ya kuhujumu na kulazimisha machief na wafanyikazi wa serikali ati wafanye kazi ya siasa.
Nataka nieleze rais wetu ya kwamba sisi tunataka amani. Tunataka tupige kura kwa amani. Na tukipiga kura tuende nyumbani kwa amani. Na tuhesabu kwa amani. Na tutangaze rais mwingine kwa amani. Na pia ahadova kwa amani. Hii mikutano ya usiku ati anapagia watu. Rais wetu, hiyo kazi wachana nayo. Hiyo kazi haitakusaidia.
The alliance now marshalling their supporters not to be intimidated by state agents, but to turn up in their numbers, especially in their strongholds, where they claim the Interior Ministry is hell-bent to ensure a low voter turnout.
Tunataka wale wana tabia ya kukimbia kotini wahesabu hiyo kura, alafu washindwe kuenda wapi? Kotini. Si unajua wale mimi nasema? Si unawajua? Wale wanatoroka debate. Wale wa remote control. Ndio hao.
Hii kura lazima mtoke kwa wingi tushinde round 1. Sema round 1. Round 1.
In Nairobi, UDA and Kenya Kwanza gubernatorial candidate Johnson Sakaja, flanked by UDA candidates, claimed they have evidence of night meetings organized by the Interior Ministry, where chiefs have been ordered to buy identity cards at 1,000 shillings each. Meetings, Sakaja claims, have been attended by their Azimio rival candidates.
Money was brought here 2 days, was it 2 or 3 days ago? 4 days ago. 4 days ago. A meeting was held at Sportsview. At that meeting, the chiefs were called together with the certain political actors, including the sitting member of parliament, including other aspirants, to work out how they're going to suppress the turnout and the voters here. We want to assure the people of Nairobi that the elections will be peaceful. Let them not be intimidated by threats of violence.
Interior Principal Secretary Dr. Karanja Kibicho has laughed off the rigging claims, terming it as madness. Ahead of a crucial week, Kenya Kwanza and Azimio are likely to go head-to-head in their push to convince undecided voters.
Nafikiria imefika wakati ya watu kuwa na wazimu nyingi kama hiyo wenye unanielezea. Sisi hatuendagi usiku, tunaendaga mchana, na madai ya kwamba tunanunua vitambulisho ni madai ya ina maana yote. Hakuna haja ya sisi kununua vitambulisho, hata sijui ni kununua za nini.
IEBC says it has raised the matter with the National Police Service. Commission Chairman Wafula Chebukati telling Kenyans not to sell their IDs.
There are some people who are going around in a furious buying IDs from voters. That information we have passed over to the Inspector General of Police, and action will be taken.
Kenya Kwanza has said it will communicate formally to IEBC and election observers this coming week on the state involvement in the election. Apol Kamau, TV47.
Well, moving on, President Uhuru Kenyatta has fired back at his deputy William Ruto over claims of assassination. Kenyatta says Ruto should focus on advancing his agenda without dragging him into his wars. Micah Gwongo with more.
Less than 10 days to general election, the push and pull between President Uhuru Kenyatta and his once-a-time buddy Deputy President William Ruto has yet again come to limelight after the head of state fired back to Ruto. While launching the Nairobi Expressway Sunday, President Kenyatta told his principal assistant, DP Ruto, to focus on selling his agenda rather than spreading what he termed as lies.
Piga story yako, uza sera zako, wachana na mimi. Mimi nafanya kazi yangu, nimalize. Nyinyi muende muombe kura. Wananchi wakiwapatia sawa, wakiwanyima, twende nyumbani pamoja. Shida iko wapi? Si dunia itaendelea.
I supported you when you needed a man to support you. If you do not want to support me, leave me alone.
Uhuru said he had power to do anything for the period, but he didn't because he had no ill intention against anyone.
Kila mtu, including myself, ako na uhuru wa kupigia debe yoyote ambaye anataka.
The president's remarks coming hours after UDA running mate Rigathi Gachagua, while campaigning in Nyeri, claimed that Kenyatta had threatened him.
Wewe sasa unaanza kunithreaten mimi? Ati utanifanya nini? Bora usiue watoto wangu, lakini mimi na wewe tafadhali tuheshimiane.
I hate nobody. Mimi sina shida na mtu. Hata si unaona wananitusi kila siku. Umewahi kusikia mimi nikiwajibu?
With a lot of respect, my friend, Mr. President, please be a decent human being. Kuwa muungwana, kuwa na shukurani. Sisi ndio tulikusaidia.
In a hinted response to Gachagua's Saturday remarks, Uhuru said that he had no plans of assassinating anyone as he was on his way out.
Kuna haja ya matusi. Kuna haja ya kuingilia watu. Sasa wakati naenda kupatiana serikali na sina uwezo, ndio niko na time ya kukutafuta.
Tutamalizia asubuhi.
On Friday, Deputy President William Ruto attacked his boss, accusing him of issuing threats. Ruto said the president had held a private meeting during which he threatened him and his allies.
Kuacha spidi nyingi na kujua ya kwamba kazi na ukweli washinda matusi na chuki.
Wacha kujifanya saizi eti sijui unajifanya nini. Please.
The political marriage between the two ended shortly after their re-election in 2017, when President Uhuru Kenyatta had a public handshake with his main rival in the 2017 elections. The handshake did not sit well with DP Ruto and his allies. Mike Kagwongo, TV 47.
Well, thank you, Mike Kagongo, for that. Now, time now to make sense of the day's politics, quite high-octane politics, I have to say, right there, the president and his deputy at a back and forth between the two, some sentiments that they have been airing out in the public, quite worrying, I have to say, the deputy president accusing the president with unfounded allegations, I have to say, of a plot to assassinate him, and president saying that he is actually not interested in the succession politics. And in studio with me to have this conversation is engineer Crispus Wadhimba, who is the Nakuru senatorial aspirant as an independent candidate. Karibu sana to the studio, sir. And we have Zach Kinuthia on his right, who is the MP candidate for Kigumo constituency. Karibu sana. And then Dr. Duncan Ojwang, who's the Dean, Law, African Nazarene University. Welcome to the studio. I want to start with you, Kinuthia. The Deputy President, of course, gets these briefs, intelligence briefs. Quite worrying when he says that there's a plot on his life, don't you think?
When he said...
There's a plot on his life. He's claiming that there are people who are planning to harm him and his family.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. When he claimed sensationally,
yes,
3 years ago, that some PSs and some CSs had met in Lamada Hotel to kill him. That time I was in government, and we were sharing the same table in cabinet, and it was sheer nonsense. A claim to draw sympathy towards him and paint the head of state in the worst of light. His claim of assassination, especially on his family members, as he made in Kapsabet, should be treated with utmost disregard and can only be termed as bullshit.
Oh, okay. Enough of that. Crispus, how do you hear your views on that?
For me, I'm from Nakuru. Recently, in the past week, you've seen the president has been there, the Raila has been there with Martha Karua. We've seen even Ruto was there sometime on Saturday. And this I probably would call it pure incitement. I think Ruto is trying to fan up his base, probably because he's losing some substantial support in the Mount Kenya region. So probably he's trying to instill fear so that those who are with him and have left him to try and come back. But I also will call on to the president as a statesman to try and calm the situation, not to fight fire with fire. I think he is the uniting factor in the country, and therefore we still call upon him to keep the country safe, because where it is over the last few days, I don't think things are as they were before. We are talking peace, but when they talk, they are not talking peace. Well, at the ground, things are probably calm. I was in a ward called Kiptorol in Kuresoi, which is mainly UDA-dominated constituency. And they would tell me, after all, we just want peace. We are not interested in this thing. And these are some of the areas where in Nakuru we always have violence after any general election. But this time they are calling for peace. They want to peacefully coexist with the other people there. So I'm really looking forward to hear the president, the deputy president, and the other people start trying to preach peace. Because on Wednesday next week, we still need a country. Yes.
Dr. Duncan, your views on that?
Yeah, good morning. you know, I think there's a context to that. Nitafunga na mtu. I'm going home, but I might go with somebody kind of remarks. You know, if you went to school and before closing, when somebody declared that nitafunga na mtu, you start looking around whether, am I the one? You remember the disciples, am I the one, am I the one? So the fury of the president, where he comes out and say, I can do stuff still. And even outrightly. Now, if he can threaten a vice chancellor, and promise him that, yes, I'm going home, but I can go home with you, how much somebody who is standing on the way to his succession and project. Remember, of course, you know, yako kumi has become yako zero na yangu 20, because he's trying to succeed himself. So I think there's a context to this. We cannot dismiss outrightly, because we live in a country where there are talks and even attempt of assassination. I think it is important to be precautious than to be sorry. For everybody, if everybody feel their life is threatened, they need to speak out. Some of these things, when people speak out, they make it less likely to materialize. But when I see that, you know, utajua I'm the president, when I see that nitaenda nyumbani na mtu, then I see a little bit of worrying trend. Because it means it's a threat to use extra judicial, extra ballot, use the power. Now that power that the president have is the power of the police and intelligence. And it's a very bad place to be. And those threats should not be allowed to be broadcast by none other than the head of state. And they are coming fierce, they are coming often, and the desperation is becoming bigger.
Well, that is Dr. Duncan right there. And I want us to have this conversation. It's a very big story. It's on page 6 of the Standard. And of course, I have with me Engineer Crispus Wathimba, who's an independent candidate vying for the Nakuru senatorial seat. Zach Kinothia, who's an MP candidate for Kigumo constituency. And of course, Dr. Duncan Ojwang, who says the remarks there, or rather the claims by Deputy President Ruto, should not be taken lightly, who is a Dean Law Africa Nazarene University. I want us to have that conversation right after this short break. Remember, you can be part of this conversation by texting us live on 22047, at Twitter at TV47KE. That is our handle. Mine, of course, is at Eric_Mnene Dongwa. We will be right back with more.
Despite being visually impaired, he is a jack of all trades. It is our quest to find answers on how to take care of children with special needs and those with disability. You do not need to see musical notes to understand music, but rather to have your soul feel the vibe.
Actually, for us to make a wheelchair, we have to take measurements of the user.
After doing my assessment, I get to know the parent. I get to know the heaviness she's carrying.
Disability comes at different stages of life.
How well do you know what's happening around you? Morning Cafe with heated political debates. Baraza la Siasa.
Hiyo kitu azungumzie, angalie hali ya maisha ya watu.
Informative health discussions. Business, farming. Tasty Wednesday, Fitness Thursday, and Feel Good Friday with amazing DJs, celebs,
waimbaji, kuna comedians, alafu kuna wajinga,
and music bands every Monday to Friday from from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m.
Despite being visually impaired, he is a jack of all trades. It is our quest to find answers on how to take care of children with special needs and those with disability. You do not need to see musical notes to understand music, but rather to have your soul feel the vibe.
Actually, for us to make a wheelchair, we have to take measurements of the user.
After doing my assessment, I get to know the parent, I get to know the heaviness she's carrying.
Disability comes at different stages of life.
How well do you know what's happening around you? Morning Cafe with heated political debates. Baraza la Siasa.
Hiyo kitu azungumzie, angalie hali ya maisha ya watu.
Informative health discussions. Business, farming. Tasty Wednesday, Fitness Thursday, and Feel Good Friday with amazing DJs, celebs,
Waimbaji, kuna comedians, alafu kuna wajinga.
and music bands every Monday to Friday from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m.
Things have happened before.
Those are the utterances that my brother caused mayhem in Kenya 15 years ago. Utterances coming from leaders of influence, especially in the political arena, that then what seemed to have been the opposition to government that time,
yes,
and extremely extending the feeling of insecurity and taking it to their basis, political basis for incitement. People could not take it. And you remember Raila Odinga then, the ODM flag bearer in 2007, playing victim from every corner and every time solidifying it in Kibra. Kibra that time was one constituency, and would go to Joseph Kang'ethe grounds and stand there and ask Kenyans who live there to protect him. Obviously, he knew that they cannot protect him because he had police. His security was beefed. His home was beefed, both in the village and in the city. These things put the country on edge, as you have put it. And it is unfortunate because if hell would break loose and we pray against it, Raila and Ruto, including President Kenyatta, would be as safe as it can get. As you know, Ruto, now being a presidential candidate, has his security beefed up both in his home or homes, in his farms, in his movement from one point to another. Actually, as you have seen with data, William Samoei Ruto is the most guarded Kenyan in the history of our republic. Most guarded. And you saw 257 policemen. You saw it. And that one was from Interior Ministry. And it was enumerated. His farm in X place, this number of police. His home in this place, this number. This was a data that randomly police who had been sent to secure his premises were counted. You see, if we continue claiming such things, Kenyans would ask, what is the basis? And I'm happy Prof was trying to contextualize his utterances. What is the context? What do we know? From where we are sitting, we have no details. Let's be honest, as Kenyans, we have no details, whether it is true or whether it is false. But we know it is going to flare up emotions. You know, why did he say it in Kapsabet? And why did he say, don't kill my children? Why not say his wife or himself? Why not say, don't kill my supporters? Why his children? Children from nowhere? From nowhere. No president in Africa has ever gone to the family by killing his opponent's family. We could say asylum seeking. Maybe you are thrown out of government, your children are thrown out of government, maybe their property has been, like what is happening today in Angola, that your children's property has been recalled by state. These things have happened, but killing your children, I think this is again too far, because Kenyans got mad. I mean, if Ojwang killed my children, or if I harmed his children, that is red line. There's no politics there then. This is chaos. I am praying, my friend, that we get off from such things. If it would happen, if he would have information that it is happening, he should also be gentleman enough and tell us why. Where is this coming from? When this guy goes to Nyeri, I'm happy, I've heard Ray call him the best word. When he goes to Nyeri and start saying, don't kill us, the way you killed, your father killed JM Kariuki. This man is a complete idiot. Didn't he read the report in Parliament on JM inquiry and commission that investigated his death? Can't he tell us? Didn't he read what happened? Didn't he read the truth of what happened to JM Kariuki? Why is he putting it to the president's father? I think some of these things also, these things are so personal. You can see I'm already agitated. Now imagine if I am not, imagine if I am a supporter who has no information whatsoever, I'll take arms and start going after the one Ojwang is talking to, or the one he's talking to. I will go after the jugular because they're harming Ojwang, and Ojwang is my political kingpin, or he's my political figure. Yeah. I think we should tone down, and this one is not about president. Sometimes it's wrong when your wife is battling you, and you're telling the man you're the head of the family, just take things in control. Relax your house. Please, if the man has the right, let him divorce the wife and tell him off, even as a way of healing. Sometimes it's important. Let's not also take president into circles. He's also a human being. If he's being offended by his junior, he has that right, even if he's a symbol of unity, he has that right to say what happened.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's move on from that. The main story on the Standard is about the logistical nightmare that faces the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission. 22 million, we're talking about 22,120,458 registered voters, and the IEBC has that huge task of ensuring that we have a credible poll in all the 46,233. Big numbers right there, engineer. What could really go wrong in 7 days?
Well, many things can go wrong. Systems failure, transportation challenges, personnel being not honest with the duty that they have been bestowed with. We could probably be faced with the issues of security or insecurity for that matter. So there are many things that I'm sure IEBC is, in terms of risk assessment, they are looking at. But what is important is what risk mitigation measures have they put in place. So for me, my biggest fear is the issue of the electronic system failing, and what other complementary system will they have in place to be able to allow every vote to be cast or to be validated for that matter. In terms of the other issues about logistics, these are issues that we have gone through.
Yes.
Luckily, we are going through an election during August, so we don't expect the weather to be that of an issue in some of the areas, but definitely there could be areas where logistical and nightmare might be presented. Security is a big concern for me, given that we've seen the incidences that happened yesterday at Bakungu Stadium, where the UDA guys were not allowed to access the facility. So it probably shows the security system is partial, is not impartial to this cause. So we hope over the next 7 days they can exercise some sense of impartiality for everyone, even us who are independent candidates who don't support either of the formations, to be able to be sure that the security agencies will be able to guard every vote as long as it's able to be cast. Yes.
But you can also give it to them. The commission has been doing a great job this time around, taking through all the candidates and or their representatives through its plans to ensure that it has a credible poll. But Dr. Ojwang, there are people that have been, one side, that is the Kenya Kwanza Alliance, is opposed to the manual system, the manual register, but the other side, that is Azimio One Kenya Alliance, wants, yes, the digital voter register, but then again, to have it backed by a manual register. Is that something that really should concern Kenyans? Remember, it's just 7 days to the election, and when IEBC takes its position on some issues, then again, the chairman, who has a huge task to ensure that Kenyans trust the commission, he looks like he's siding with one side, and there have been complaints. The Azimio One Kenya Alliance has been claiming that he's an agent for the Kenya Kwanza Alliance. Don't you think so?
I thought that it is one side that sided with IEBC, because it is IEBC that first made the pronouncement that they are going digital. But I'll forgive you because English is our second language. So if you say they sided with one side, it means that it was Kenya Kwanza proposal. No, it wasn't.
Yes.
It was IEBC proposal, opposed by both sides. Both sides called and explained to, and even when Deputy President accepted that the overrider was, then make sure that the system do not fail. So the trajectory and the storyline is very clear about it. And I think you are right, because we are expecting ruling on the same probably this week, as late as, I don't know, Thursday or something. Remember, it's in court. And you can imagine, if this is something in court, then how about if it rules either way?
Yes.
Because right now they have not done plan for manual register. I think it's a small thing, but not very small, in my view. But it should not be that divisive in my view, because the IEBC is saying, yes, there will be manual register, but not the full register with all the IDs, so that you can mark those who have voted. But we are not going to allow you to access two registers, because the law says there must be only one register, and that register is digital. And so they're saying the complementary system of this digital register is alphanumeric. We have within the digital alternative ways that somebody can be searched using their ID and their data can come up. In extreme situation, even now, there is a provision that if somebody cannot be traced totally, the 10 fingers fail, which is crazy how 10 fingers fail. But we can call, the PO can come, can fill a form with the agent signing, and this person can vote manually. But so the fight is, and where probably you're right, that the other side is saying, why do you want the manual register with full ID numbers? Remember, 7 days to election, there will be pinned on the wall.
That is tomorrow.
That is tomorrow. In every polling station, a manual register. But the IDs are not full. Maybe the first two letters, numbers, and the last two numbers. So you'll know if you are there as a voter. Now, the mischief is this, and maybe the fight is this. If I have all your ID, then I can conveniently cause the system to fail, or I can say your fingerprint did not come up, then I can cause to vote for you, and you are not there, and there is no digital trail. Remember, all these efforts that are efforts that actually it is Raila who have fought for, that we must have digital with fingerprints, so that you cannot say, Duncan Ojuanga failed to come to Rangwe, that's where I vote, or Moche, but I have his ID. Then you go to the manual and tick and cast that ballot without me being there. Now, connect that to what Honorable Sakaja was saying. IDs are being bought. Chiefs are being instructed. Then you can see the apprehension on the other side. Why are you buying the ID? Why do you insist on voter register? Manual voter register and not digital? Because with digital, you cannot know who has voted and who has not voted. You just know the statistics. Then when you have the ID you have bought for 1,000, that's very cheap. why will they buy IDs for 1,000? Maybe Kinuthia will explain this.
It would be wrong. By the way, I would never, as a candidate, I would never support such a mischief because it is to destroy the base.
Yeah.
Not even to rig, but to say
the things that are happening.
I am not sure.
Allegation, really.
Yeah, it is alleged.
Yes, they are allegation. But I'm telling you why why it is a small thing, but not so small. When somebody is saying you have on your side provincial administration, therefore you have power to cause this manual register. Remember 2007 election where Martha Karua was saying both sides stole? Actually, what she meant is every side showed up with 98% voter turnout.
Yeah.
So she was correcting and saying it's not just the Tharaka-Nithi that we are talking about. Actually, we woke up late and realized that you guys, all your polls are coming 99, 100 and whatever. So then they're like, what do we do with this Tharaka-Nithi also? So how does that happen? It happens because I can simply tell these 700 are going to vote, whether they are here, whether they are dead, whether they are in jail or not. So... and then think about it. By law, IEBC is supposed to transmit result. There is Form 34A, but they're also supposed to transmit result electronically by law. So if the KIMS kit fail, that there is no KIMS kit, we are going manual, how will they transmit? That is the question that the other side is asking. So they're saying there must be, KIMS kit must work, and the system must be there because the transmission requires that the KIMS kit work and you transmit through the KIMS kit. So there is that connection, but I think there is a lot of superstition on either side, but I see the IEBC very prepared. Look, even as media, they have opened their house fully. They are saying, come to the polling station with a pen and a paper. Tally this because there is no server. The results are over here. Now, if you transmit something different and mischievous or through electronic, then I come with 34A. Whatever is in 34A trumps it. So I will urge both sides to look for agents, have serious agents, because this election will be won at the polling station.
Okay. And you've mentioned the media there. It's a story that has been captured on page 5 of the Standard. IEBC asks media to be accurate, fair in election coverage. Quite a huge step there by IEBC, allowing the media to tally, to have a parallel tallying system. The only thing that the media has been told they can do is call the election. But then again, page 6 of the Standard. Well, where's that? Yeah, Kenyatta has 30 days in office, but then again, this could stretch into months numerically. And I want to engage you, engineer. Where do you think we are as a country? Are we headed for a runoff in your view, or this is going to be around one thing?
Recently, Gachagua visited Nakuru, and let me tell you, the man has following.
Okay.
If that following is real tangible votes, that's something we need to tell. But you can see that we may want to dismiss Gachagua, but if he is able to get, even if it's 3% of the vote, it is 600,000 votes, and Raila and Ruto get 48 each, we definitely have a runoff. That is definitely. So we can't afford to dismiss this movement of Gachagua and his other contender. But the possibility of a runoff is there. The possibility of Ruto going to court or Raila going to court in case either wins or loses is there. So Uhuru may end up being in office until as late as October. So that possibility is there. We need to see it being certain that anything can take shape. Yeah.
Well, page 8 of the Standard, of course, Azimio One Kenya Alliance presidential candidate Raila Odinga campaigning there in the Rift Valley, saying that the bread basket, the country's bread basket, has been failed by your leaders. Your leaders have failed you, Raila tells Rift Valley. That's quite a low blow, Kinuthia, don't you think? Because that is where actually Ruto hails from, and agriculture has been their main activity. And he might actually convince some farmers there, don't you think?
Yeah, sure. And he has done it before. But before I delve into it, this media invitation to election tarring is very important. But also, the question he was asking Dr. Ojwang about logistical nightmare, is the media going to come? Because this election is won, as he has said, at the polling station. These 700 people, whoever turns up to vote, whether it's 600 or 500, there and there, the president's vote will be known there. And that is a final, legitimate and valid voting. So is the media able to send their agents in 46,233 polling stations? Don't answer me. The answer should be this. If they can't, whom are they going to believe? Is it the agent of Azimio? Or is it the agent of Kenya Kwanza? Because, and I'm not accusing the media, I'm just saying, because logistically it is not going to be possible for them to dispatch media, but even if you would bring together all the freelance journalists in the country, it is not going to be possible to send every person in the polling station. So this is a question, and I think the media conference should address this matter. Whom should they believe? Because now this thing, I mean, if it was a county level, it would be so important. If this thing would be coming from the county, I know TV47 chairman, being a man of means, can send 47 people in 47 counties. But to say 46,000 polling station, I think also the media will have to look into that matter and see whom they are going to believe. Because imagine you have your own people, and perhaps they support Azimio, or they are Kenya Kwanza, or they are Wajakoyas, and then they give you misleading data, technically misleading on bias, on where I'm sitting.
Yes.
So I think that should be looked at. Secondly, IEBC, to be honest, and I do not want to talk about the presidential returning officer, because that's a different matter. He is a target of all mischief. He's a target of all noise. He's a target of all, and in his shoes, I do not know what I would do if I was Chebukati. And he must be prepared. This is a very difficult office. He is lucky to go 2 times. Only Kivoitu did it. He is very lucky to be there to preside over 3 important elections, because there were 2 in 2017. I think IEBC from other levels is trying. And because we are candidates, we are also engaging Electoral and Boundary Commission at our local level.
Yes.
These guys are trying. They are keeping this thing crossed. From tomorrow, they are going to pin the voters in every polling station.
Yes.
Actually, not polling station, in every polling center. Because one polling station could have streams.
Okay.
And they are no longer being called streams now. They are called polling centers. So, like in one polling station where there are 3,500 people, there will be 5 lists in every 700 alphabet. The next alphabet, 700, where 700 ends, it is going to happen that way tomorrow. I think IEBC is giving it a fair trial. What perhaps, as we agreed last Monday with Linda, is that poor communication. IEBC is not communicating its gains. Yeah? There is a problem at the communication level from the chairman's desk. The secretariat is not communicating well. And that gives what? Because power abhors vacuum, it's giving people who are not supposed to be commenting on these matters of high integrity, is giving them anything. I mean, everybody can say anything about IEBC, including people who do not know the abbreviation of IEBC. They are going to say anything if the chairman does not step in. Finally, now let me come into the issue of this maize matter.
Okay.
There cannot be denying that over the last few years, say 5 or 7, the Rift Valley farmer has been deteriorating. Whether this be grain of wheat farmer, or grain of maize, or barley, things have been declining over time. I do not want to speak about politics. Who has caused this to happen? No. But the truth of the matter is that there is no joy for a farmer in Rift Valley. And why are we talking about Rift Valley? Because it is a food basket for the country. And secondly, it is the region that does large-scale farming of food. So when we talk about Rift Valley, in political sense, then we will be talking about William Ruto. But if we talk about it objectively, the fact of the matter is this thing has been going down. And I expect that the Agriculture Cabinet Secretary who was in that place should be fair to Kenyans and speak about issues of why production has been going down, why the farmer is wailing in the Rift Valley, instead of rising and pointing fingers to politicians. I think that is beyond his paycheck. He should tell us how we can increase agricultural output. Number one. Number two, what has failed us? Is it rains? Is it climate change? Is it changing soil infrastructure? Is it fertilizers? And what are we going to do if, as me, a presidential candidate, Raila Odinga, whom I am supporting for president, to win? How best are they going to do these things so that the farmer can hear? Imagine telling the farmer, it is William Ruto who has made your maize disappear from the soil.
Yeah.
Isn't that nonsensical?
Well, quite interesting there. Engineer,
yes.
Very briefly, I want us to talk about the western area of the country, the western region of the country. Ruto here promising, it's on page 8 of the Standard, Ruto promising to honor the pre-election deal with Western if he wins polls. Do you think some of the things that he had, part of the deal that he placed on the table for both ANC leader and Ford Kenya leader, that is Musalia Mudavadi and Moses Wetangula, is quite realistic? Do you think they are going to deliver as they've been asked?
Remember, these guys were asked to deliver 70% of the Western Kenya vote. So there are numbers that they must deliver. If they fail to, I'm sure there are some consequences to it. But the other issue is whatever promises Ruto made to the Western Kenyan vote, these are promises that Western Kenya has always been receiving from other previous elections. But have they materialized? Have they transformed their lives? So I think the Western Kenya vote needs to change tact and say, yes, you promise all these things. Yes, we believe you can be able to do this and this, but this is what we want. I think the Western Kenya vote, just like the Rift Valley vote, we need to start changing our expectations as people who are electing leaders. What do we expect from our politicians? Speaking about Western Kenya, speaking about Rift Valley, Western Kenya is more about sugar. Rift Valley is about maize and grain. It's all about agriculture.
Yes.
And agriculture is supposed to be the largest economic driver in this country. Yet it has consistently failed since 2007. And every election we come with promises, we come with numbers, but those numbers have never materialized. The situation is getting worse. So where are we going wrong? Is it the politics that is failing us? Are we putting the wrong people in offices when it comes to managing our food production? Are we having challenges of climate change and we are not being able to address them? So there are systematic issues that we need to address. And this is an issue that is important to be addressed now, because a country that cannot feed itself is a failed nation. And today, Kenya is at the brink of failure when it cannot feed its people. Majority of Kenyans are struggling to put 2 or 3 meals on the table. And that is the problem. Whereas other countries that may be lower economically are able to feed themselves, Kenya is struggling. So I think whoever takes leadership come on the 10th of August, let's remove politics in this issue. Let us change how we approach the issue of food production in this country. Let us put the right systems and invest in the right resources to increase our productivity. We need to adapt to new climatic conditions. We need to adapt to the new kind of farmer. Most of the farmers in Kenya are very old people. While we are 75% young, why are the young people not farming? We need to work on that. So there is a lot that needs to be done beyond promises of reviving sugar industry and focusing on grain.
So thank you very much, Engineer Wathimba. This is State of the Nation. We're having a conversation about politics, maize politics, the Rift Valley, the arithmetic there. Every candidate probably trying to get the most votes from the mountainous region and the Rift Valley region. Remember, you can be part of this conversation by SMSing is live on 22047. I'll be taking some of your feedback right on air. Time now for a very short break. Don't go away. We'll be back.
Despite being visually impaired, he is a jack of all trades. It is our quest to find answers on how to take care of children with special needs and those with disability. You do not need to see musical notes to understand music, but rather to have your soul feel the vibe.
Actually, for us to make a wheelchair, we have to take measurements of the user.
After doing my assessment, I get to know the parent, I get to know the heaviness she's carrying.
Disability comes at different stages of life.
How well do you know what's happening around you? Morning Cafe with heated political debates. Baraza la Siasa.
Hiyo kitu azungumzie, angalie hali ya maisha ya watu.
Informative health discussions. Business. Farming. Tasty Wednesday. Fitness Thursday. And Feel Good Friday. With amazing DJs, celebs.
Waimbaji, kuna comedians, alafu kuna wajinga.
And music bands. Every Monday to Friday from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. The next set of millionaires are farmers, as we know agriculture has been and still is the backbone of our economy. As we traverse the different counties to meet different farmers, we ensure to get the story of how they started farming and even how they continue to penetrate the market and overcome the challenges.
Hapa, the reason why nilieka goose na si ducks. Goose, they are very easy to maintain.
A lot of farmers keep on calling, inquiring whether you're supposed to raise some seeds in the nursery or you're supposed to do them directly in the field.
The greenhouse helps us control the temperature because the temperature needs to be between 28 to 32 degrees.
Walk this journey with us every Sunday at 6:30 p.m. It's no secret, construction ain't cheap. But how do we make it affordable? Different individuals are finding ways of cutting down cost by use of pre-stressed slabs other than reinforced concrete, recycling plastics to make pavers.
The brick is stronger, it's cheaper, and it's lighter.
And recycling wastewater in your household.
What happens to my waste from the washroom, the solid waste? All that can break down.
Those are just but a few. Every Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. we talk construction.
There's no alpha without an omega. There's no lead without any followers. No man is an island. We need each other. We need this conference.
We say it, we do it, we act it.
Kama una mpenzi wako, kila siku kama nilivyosema, kila siku mwishi mapenzi.
We don't toe the line, we set the standard. We don't eat the grass, we lead the pack.
As an alpha male, you're also a leader. Not to just women, friends and family, but to everyone else you've never met before.
We are the beauty, the spice and the brains. The men's conference where men become alpha males.
And you can catch us every Wednesday at 10 p.m. This is The Grind. Only
Go to
those
the Kenya Bureau of Statistics, most healthy people and healthy eaters are moving towards fish because it is white meat, which is much healthy. But we don't have enough fish. You know, the cage farming has not been embraced. If you go to Lake Victoria, basically, with even Ford and Hyacinth and whatever, that thing has become a swimming pool. It's no longer what feeds us. So you wonder, well, why will you, I wish you saw he saw, as he's talking about the farmers, he saw his own bedroom. That 60 years later, we are still carrying fish the same way a cat will go to the ocean, catch a fish and carry literally. There is no innovation around it. And it has to reach Nairobi within 6 hours or it starts stinking. And if you go to Gikomba fish market, you see the flies, boo. Why? Yet he's an engineer who can come with very innovative way that can add value addition. That fish can industrialize Luoland. We don't need to be Nairobi speaking this necessary English. I should have been in Kisumu fishing and rich, because that fish can empower us. So I think it is the season of politics. And of course, everybody's looking for their corner. But I think there's enough blame to go around. And to me, I will urge Kenyans and the farmers, and even fishermen, because I had a privilege of writing Nyanza Manifesto for UDA. For the first time, we sat and said, what can be done? What is our version of bottom-up with fish? What does this mean? Bottom-up for fish does not mean it ends up being processed in Thika. It means, what do we do here? What is the bottom-up with the sweet potato in Kabondo? We did that. The same thing the people in Rift Valley did for the agriculture and all that. So I think that if we are forward-looking, then we can now look yonder onto the manifesto and see, after Wednesday, are we still going to go through decline? Because you notice that Kenya Azimio is promising the same minister for agriculture will be the same minister for agriculture. There is no innovation around it. So whether things are okay, because they say if things are okay, why fix them if they're not broken? So if they're not broken, then go and vote for the same Minister of Agriculture. We move on. But if they are broken, then probably you need to fix a few things.
Okay. And I also want to add, the problem is not just going to be fixed with fertilizer only. We also need to change the mindset of the Kenyan farmer. For example, in Western Kenya, we are talking about sugar production, sugarcane production. Are we able to produce sugar that is competitive in the market, competitive to that one of Mauritius, Sudan, or Brazil, or India? If we can't, then let's use that land for something else that we are lacking here, that we have to keep importing. We are importing a lot of palm oil for cooking oil. What can we do with that soil in Western Kenya? What can we do with the soil in Luo Nyanza? What can we do with the soil in Rift Valley that is alternative to what we have been traditionally producing? So that we look at the whole country and see what opportunities are we missing to take advantage of. Increase our food basket. Number two, we also need to increase the variety of choice on our table. We cannot be a country that just eats maize only. We need to increase other things that Kenyans need to consume. If you go to Uganda, if you go to Tanzania, Rwanda, they have a choice. There are several choices. So if maize is not there, they have matoke, they have cassava, they have other alternatives they can take. So as a country, and given that 75% of our population is young, these are people who can adapt to different varieties of food. So the government or the policy makers, they need to start embracing new thought processes in terms of how we approach our dinner table, our lunchtime meals, our breakfast. Because breakfast cannot only be bread only. It cannot be about wheat. It can be about something else.
I remember the Deputy President a while back had such a suggestion of diversifying and asked farmers to diversify into avocado. But then again, he received a lot of backlash and it was all politicized. But then again, and I agree with you, but I want us to move on to something else that is quite different. And it's about former Nairobi Governor Mike Sonko. Last week, he had some ultimatums. He placed some ultimatums to the Azimio La Umoja One Kenya Alliance. And of course, the demands that he was placing forward could not be matched, and then he just bolted. But there are people who are saying that his defection means nothing. There are analysts saying that the biggest loser in Sonko's defection is Nasir and Azimio, but others say that the Azimio votes will be intact in Nasir's basket as they will not be split. I want to hear your views on that, Kinudhi.
Well, you see, Sonko is living in the delusion that he is a Wanabe kind of celeb that the world will never miss to invite in the table. He has this delusion that because he took the city by the storm, in a precedented short period of time, in what the white man say, that by forgetting that he has wings of wax, the man melted by flying too near the sun. As we are talking now, Sonko's wings of wax have been obliterated by the heat of the sun. And no other but the highest court in the land has declared him persona non grata today and into the future for any political office, any public office. So when I saw him claiming that he has been promised one cabinet secretary by William Ruto and few CECs both in Mombasa, Machakos, Kitui and Nairobi, I was wondering, by saying he has been promised one CS position, could that CS position be him? If he believes it is him, then he has forgotten the ruling that he cannot hold public office in Kenya. Politically, I would want you to know that it is true if Dr. Ojwang is selling goats and my brother here is selling hyena and Zaki Nuthia is going to the market to buy a goat, I will first be mesmerized by my friend's hyena selling and I will take photos and enjoy the theatrics. But in the evening, I'm going to Ojwang because ultimately my family is waiting for the goat. I may joke with his trade, but I'm not going to joke with my family on his trade. I'm going to rush into his and this is what the Sonko is about. Sonko claiming that he can influence the politics of Mombasa. He has forgotten why we vote and where we vote and how we vote. He may want to be this urban revolutionary, but he cannot tilt the politics of Mombasa in favor of a candidate who is from Mombasa and whose policies are not acceptable to the people of Mombasa. It is that simple. By the way, I predict here, just as I predicted on this show, and got a lot of backlash, that Wajakoya, I said Wajakoya would get between 500,000 votes to 1.2. That's what I said, and I'm still standing here. The last I saw of the polls was that Tifa had given him 4% of the national vote. And that was, of course, I trash opinion polls. Okay. But in their own madness, they had entertained the thought that this man already had 800,000 votes. I still maintain that you'll have some lead that may not lead us to a rerun, but he will have some quite number of good votes. What's your other prediction? My prediction with Sonko is that he will make things worse for Omar. He would rather have left him alone because on his own, Omar would have taken advantage of the party of UDA, which he is running on, and perhaps a few people who identify with the deputy president from Mombasa would have given him votes on that basis. Now enters another character from, I don't know, whichever planet in the galaxy, and he's trying to make everybody think he can turn round tables. People like Sonko should actually be banned from campaigning, not even holding public office, should be banned from contributing to the national affairs because he was removed to be doing this. I don't think he has any effect on what will happen in Mombasa.
Well, Dr. Ojwang, do you agree that Sonko's move is inconsequential?
I think what he means is, I hope he has no effect, not that he has no effect. Sometimes our mind is interesting. It tells you what you want to see. And because it tries to calm you and to try to make you happy, you speak as if it has happened or it will happen. So I think what he means, I'm trained to notice whenever somebody tells me verily or honestly, then my antenna is up. Whatever you want to say is not honest. But your mind gives you the word honest so that you feel you can fool me. Sonko, the Sonko candidacy or currency, one was that the protest vote, the people, the riffraff, the people who feel ignored by the society, the others, kind of pull towards him. Number two, I don't know whether this statistic is true, but I hear that almost 30% of Mombasa is Wakamba, or a very high population of Wakamba in Mombasa County. And therefore, he was a real threat.
Okay.
And including some people who are going to vote for him for no good reasons. Not understand that somebody can just choose to vote for Kinuthia for no good reason. Yes, just because I can. So then the issue is transferability of these votes. Of course, you know you cannot transfer all your votes. These people also have their minds. The person you support will not become you automatically. But if the race was a little close, of course you can tilt. I think that I cannot underrate Sonko because I saw what he did to Kidero when I stood and told everybody that Nairobians cannot do this. Cannot leave the well-suit Kidero for Sonko. They can't. Boy, was I wrong. So I, to that extent, I don't know what to expect anymore. I start from a point of saying Kenyans are unpredictable. And they are angry. And when people are angry and hungry, then they tend to do very funny things in the ballot, including protest and including on your face. Uyo jama wako, you have cleaned up. I'm going to show you that I don't care. And that is the currency of Sonko. That really it's not even his brand of politics, but he has kind of made a brand. A brand of not having a brand of forgetting, of shooting from the hip, a brand of not sanitizing what you say, and not being so much politician. And you see, people don't like so much politicians because they feel you are hiding something. You are so calculated, you know what to say here, you measure your words. They are feeling, no, what are you telling us? People like somebody who is, what you see is what you get. If I don't like you, I don't like you. If I don't like you, I record you and I expose it. If I like you, if I smoke, I smoke. So probably then I'm wondering whether those who follow the well-suited politician who know what to say, are they the hypocrites, or those who are saying, I'm following Sonko because at least I know what I get? Sonko, like if he comes to Nairobi, is a disaster, because I know of a lot of funerals that Sonko have sponsored back home. And for us as a community, we have so much sentimental value on decent burial. Because we believe in right to life. If you value life, if it's lost, then you will be very sorry and you'll be very serious about the funeral. But if you don't value life, you'll not value death either. So Sonko have sponsored a lot of funerals for even my community, for people from Western. And that family that had their loved one transported home by Sonko, tents coming, bearing Sonko's rubber stamp, and cooking for people in the village, they will vote for Sonko, whether now we think they should or not, or for the candidate he brings. Thank you.
So you think he has a future in politics? He still has a future in politics?
Yes.
The guy, you know politics. I think so.
Okay.
And you see the idea of being banned for life, to me, I don't like that jurisprudence, because the value of sentencing is to deter, yes, but it is also to rehabilitate. McCain became the best person after he was impeached for corruption, and he became the champion in the US fighting corruption, having faced impeachment in corruption. So when you give people terminal sentences that this person will never, then what you are saying is that you are saying there is no hope for this individual, there is no rehabilitation value. Give him 10 years, give him 15 years, but you are saying forever you cannot come back. Then you have missed. Now you are using the justice system not for correction but for revenge. And I don't like it.
I can see, Engineer, you want to react.
I just wanted to say, as much as they may have banned him or stopped him from ascending to office, they did not stop the people who believe in Sonko. The institution of Sonko has not been stopped from exercising its political right. And therefore, to wish away Sonko would be wrong. Remember, he has what we call the Sonko rescue team, which has already set up base in Mombasa, which is already well positioned here in Nairobi. So he has a lot of influence in Mombasa, in Nairobi, and also in Machakos. But the other thing I want to challenge my people in Nakuru is, if Sonko can go and demand for a cabinet post for, say, 300, 400,000 votes that he controls in these 3 counties, what are we people in Nakuru asking for our 1 million votes? Because we have always been supporting government for the last 3 times, but we don't get anything. You know, that's the question I'm asking the people who are in Azimio and UDA. What are you looking for us
as independent,
as a people of Nakuru County for our 1 million votes? Because yes, I'll serve an independent, but the people of Nakuru need to be somewhere in government one way or another.
Well, let's move on now from Sonko. Page 12 of the Standard, Ruto, Gachagua go all out to win difficult areas in Mount Kenya. It's an interesting story here. You know, the writers saying that for some time, the deputy president over the past 5 years thought that he had that area under lock and key. But then again, there are some difficult areas in Mount Kenya. Zach, what could be the reason for that? What is that Mount Kenya voter wants, the ones that are being called difficult by the writers? What is it that you think that they want? What are the issues? What are some of the issues in the mountainous region that you know, are quite burning and could make both Ruto and Gachagua fail?
First of all, why the thinking that they had the place locked and in key was because, I mean, the race was one person. He was right to think he was the leading candidate in Mount Kenya, because for the last 6 years, only one man has been vying for president in Kenya. For a long time, all the way up to last year, only one person has been in the race for president. So he was right even to claim Nyanza. He was there and he had an assailable lead. Ruto had an assailable lead in Nairobi. Ruto had an assailable lead in Western. He had an assailable lead in Mount Kenya, had an assailable lead in Rift Valley, had an assailable lead in diaspora. Because nobody else wanted it. So if you are looking for and wooing a woman, and no other man has declared interest in the girl, by claiming she's yours for taking, you are right. Until another man shows up, whether he has one eye or he has no teeth, he has come. Yes. And he's saying, I too want a consideration of this woman. I want a pound of flesh in her. So you cannot start crying when the girl and her clan start now asking, oh, okay, let's listen. Yeah, let's listen to this man also. So when you hear he has entered the chambers to negotiate his terms for this woman, you must be agitated because she has been yours in your own thinking. So you must keep going to the uncle, you must keep going to the grandmother who lives somewhere far away from the house in a bid to talk to her. So the question would be, why are you going back to her kin who live away from the village? Why are you going back? Because you are under threat by a new entrant. So in Mount Kenya, the fact of the matter is that there was no leading politician, so-called kingpin, vying for the president. And the current kingpin of Mount Kenya is not vying for the president. Okay, people have issues that is extending his rule, yes, but no one is holding the flag to go and stand for president in Mount Kenya. And the candidate who had been there campaigning for a long time, spending close to many billions of money, one point said that he is a kingpin of Mount Kenya people. Now another one has said, I also has applied to Mount Kenya people to be their kingpin, and my name is Raila Odinga, Baba, and I'm picking one of your own.
Kababa.
You see? So the answer to your question of why Ruto and Rigathi are going to hot areas is because a place like Kirinyaga, where a running mate has been picked, deputy president candidate for now, is bound to be a hot area, because in the end they identify their daughter as the one closest to the real power, if this government would be formed by this man. If you go to other areas where there are candidates who are not supporting William Ruto, and they are strong candidates for governor, perhaps senator, women rep, MP. Those areas where he's being campaigned hugely and almost every single day, he has to go there. And you'll see him going back there this week. So I think the areas that they are going back are difficult areas because of intrusion. Intrusion by his opponent, who is Raila Odinga.
Dr. Ojwang seems
I like that
to
word,
respond.
intrusion. You know, when you talk of intruder, you mean there is one who is entitled, and then there is
an intruder.
who is an officious intermeddler. But that is politics. You cannot leave one place for... But Kinuthia is again relapsing back to, I want this become I have this. We want Mount Kenya so bad means we have it. I want to disabuse the notion that Raila Odinga has not been campaigning for 5 years. He has been campaigning just as much as deputy president. Handshake was the biggest campaign because it was supposed to deliver Mount Kenya to his lap, to say, Baba, here I am, do whatever you want with me, your humble servant. Boy, did it backfire. That's why we are here. That's why President have accepted that he cannot deliver Mount Kenya. So handshake itself, yes, there was peace element. I cannot gainsay that. Yes, there was camaraderie and collegiality. But in essence, it was a political move towards campaigning for Mount Kenya. BBI was a campaign tool. Yes, it was constitutional amendment, but we will give you this, we will give you more constituencies, we will give you more money, we will give you more wives, we will give you more bride, we will give you more gold, we will give you whatever you want. We will come with the prime minister, therefore our succession plan is intact. We will have somebody from Mount Kenya taking, and even if you lose presidency, don't feel so bad, or you, the people of Mountain, there will be a powerful prime minister there. We will entrench revenue sharing formula, which is 1 man, 1 shilling, which has been your problem throughout. We will entrench it in the constitution. Those were campaigns. So it doesn't take rocket science to know that both sides have been actually campaigning. Campaign does not mean being in the platform. If I decide to do national things, then I hope people in Rangwe who watch me on TV 47 every morning will say, I like Ojwang, come here and vote for me. That was how it was supposed to go. That Kenyans were to come to a point of saying, this is Mandela moment. We have seen what you have done in peace. We have seen what you have done with BBI. Come take my votes. Keep it if you can. It didn't work. So there is no side which has not been campaigning. We only have 2 sides. One have been campaigning on the platform of development. One has been campaigning through BBI and in subtle ways which have backfired. But again, to their credit, Martha Karua is speaking up. Remember when we were fighting BBI, I asked Martha to be our lawyer as the amicus curiae, and she represented me in Court of Appeal. Her opening statement was, the modern dictators use constitutional amendment to entrench themselves and to succeed themselves. So every side have been campaigning.
Well,
only that others have not worked very well.
Okay, so thank you, Dr. Ojwang. I want us to take a very short break after Dr. Ojwang's remarks there. We're talking about state of the nation right here on Morning Cafe. Remember, you can be part of this conversation by SMSing us on 22047. Don't go, we'll be right back.
Despite being visually impaired, he is a jack of all trades. It is our quest to find answers on how to take care of children with special needs and those with disability. You do not need to see musical notes to understand music, but rather to have your soul feel the vibe.
Actually, for us to make a wheelchair, we have to take measurements of the user.
After doing my assessment, I get to know the parent, I get to know the heaviness she's carrying, disability comes at different stages of life.
How well do you know what's happening around you? Morning Cafe with heated political debates. Baraza la Siasa.
Hiyo kitu azungumzie, angalie hali ya maisha ya watu.
Informative health discussions. Business. Farming. Tasty Wednesday. Fitness Thursday. And Feel Good Friday. With amazing DJs, celebs.
Waimbaji, kuna comedians, alafu kuna wajinga.
And music bands. Every Monday to Friday from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. The next set of millionaires are farmers. As we know, agriculture has been and still is the backbone of our economy. As we traverse the different counties to meet different farmers, we ensure to get the story of how they started farming and even how they continue to penetrate the market and overcome the challenges.
Hapa, the reason why nilieka goose na si ducks. Goose, they are very easy to maintain.
A lot of farmers keep on calling, inquiring whether you're supposed to raise some seeds in the nursery or you're supposed to do them directly in the field.
The greenhouse helps us control the temperature because the temperature needs to be between 28 to 32 degrees.
Walk this journey with us every Sunday at 6:30 p.m. It's no secret, construction ain't cheap. But how do we make it affordable? Different individuals are finding ways of cutting down cost by use of pre-stressed slabs other than reinforced concrete, recycling plastics to make pavers.
The brick is stronger, it's cheaper, and it's lighter.
And recycling wastewater in your household.
What happens to my waste from the washroom, the solid waste? All that can break down.
Those are just but a few. Every Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. we talk construction.
There's no alpha without an omega. There's no lead without any followers. No man is an island. We need each other. We need this conference.
We say it, we do it, we act it.
Kama una mpenzi wako, kila siku kama walivyosema, kila siku maishi mapenzi.
We don't toe the line, we set the standard. We don't eat the grass, we lead the pack.
As an alpha male, you're also a leader. Not to just women, friends and family, but to everyone else you've never met before.
We are the beauty, the spice and the brains. The men's conference where men become alpha males.
And you can catch us every Wednesday at 10 p.m. This is The Grind. Only those who will risk going too far can possibly find out how far one can go. T.S. Eliot.
So I decided, let me just take this up, put the teaching on hold first. Let me try see where this can go.
I mean, the opportunities are a lot. But is that all you need? Oh wait, there's more. This seems a little too much. Let's slow it down.
You do this is something you do out of passion.
Join me, Violet Njoki, as I navigate through the maze of the increasingly dynamic business environment and quiet down the noises. As I help you flourish in business, every Monday at 7:30 p.m.
It's no secret, construction ain't cheap. But how do we make it affordable? Different individuals are finding ways of cutting down cost by use of pre-stressed slabs other than reinforced concrete, recycling plastics to make pavers.
The brick is stronger,
It's cheaper and it's lighter.
And recycling wastewater in your household.
What happens to my waste from the washroom, the solid waste, all that can break down.
Those are just but a few. Every Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. we talk construction.
Despite being visually impaired, he is a jack of all trades. It is our quest to find answers on how to take care of children with special needs and those with disability. You do not need
challenges, but not on the very issues that were there last time, maybe new issues. For example, the issue of Gachagua, I'm very curious to see if him being found to possession of stolen money will warrant somebody to, seek a constitutional interpretation of his validity as a deputy president. That's something I'm very curious to see if it can be challenged. The issue of now a security system or the Ngao infrastructure being used to manipulate system, it can be alleged, but if somebody can be able to prove that it has been used, it's something I'm very curious to see that somebody can take it to challenge the outcome of the election. But definitely we are welcome. We are a country where judicial precedence is being found to be great, and we need to pride ourselves that even if politics fails, the judiciary is able to restore sanity in our politics.
Crossing over now to the Daily Nation, and I want to engage you, Kinuthia, because you've said something that if a man has been courting a woman for a very long time while alone, then that woman is also open to look at other options. But then again, the writers of
to cheat.
No. I'm saying courting. I didn't say marrying. I said courting. Because until a woman is married, she cannot be said she's cheating.
Yes. So there's a special reporting by Mutuma Matthew, John Kamau, and Alex Ndegwa, and they seem to suggest that the shape of Mount Kenya, that is the headline, how Ruto wrenched the mountain away from unsuspecting Uhuru, and why Raila presents an ever-present danger. Unsuspecting, is unsuspecting really the word? Uhuru watched his deputy making inroads in Mount Kenya for a very long time. In fact, if I remember well, there's a time he actually told people, ule mtu wa kutangatanga. That's where that was the genesis of Tanga. He knew what his deputy was doing. Why didn't he stop him then? Unsuspecting, is that really the word?
Yeah, it's actually the word. And I remember that word, Tanga, was created while the president was giving titles to Mbakasi Ranch. Some people, owners of the property there. Really, the president was unsuspecting because he trusted too much. And I think, I don't know whether we will be lucky to read the president's memoir, if he will ever have them, or they will be written for him. Because the fact of the matter is that this thing has been caused by trust. It was trust. And the question is, would he have stopped him? I find that question totally baffling, because how would he have stopped him? People say, you would have asked him not to go. Yes, you can ask him not to go, but if he goes, what is your recourse? Your recourse would be defeated at the point where this man's dangerous ambition and the path he has set for the future is encroached by whatever cause. And as you have seen, William Ruto has gone all out to use every mean in Mount Kenya, every means possible in Mount Kenya to woo the most vocal people. If you realize, he bought them all. All the vocal elected politicians in Mount Kenya.
What do you mean he bought them all?
They were bought off.
What do you mean he bought them off? Maybe it's their type of politics. Maybe they align with his...
No, this one I can claim even in Supreme Court. And if evidence is needed, it can be provided. He bought them off. And they are the one who have been talking for him, with him, and all over the country. He did the same. In areas you could not imagine he can pick the most vocal of politicians. He picked them all. This is why the president was unsuspecting. Because he thought, a man I trust, a man we have worked together, a man we can walk a journey, if God grant, for a certain period. And you see, the president has said in good heart that yes, he meant it. And he would have left his goodwill in the hands of his deputy for people to decide him as the president. Had things not happened. Why has Kenya and Kenyans denied President Kenyatta a right to express what happened? And this has always been my question. For us who have bits of what happened and who have no authority to speak about it, because we'll be termed political, why can't we allow the man whose shoe is pinching to talk about where the stone is lying? Is it on the first finger or the last finger? Why can't we also allow him? Because the noise that has been made around him has succeeded in delegitimizing the president. Now, on why the word unsuspecting is fit for this description, when the man started making inroads in Mount Kenya, he would start by saying he has been sent by President Kenyatta and he has been given a token to deliver in churches, in women groups, in youth groups, that in every X amount of money, 30% would be from the president and 60% from him. But ideally, if Ojwang is my boss, I cannot give more than he can give. Ideally. Apana, if I'm contributing somewhere in his name, I cannot give 10 shilling for him and then 25 for me, so that I'm giving 35 for us. This is why he was unsuspecting. But there were red flags. Every relationship has a red flag that is about to fail. And these flags, the more they are ignored, the more hurting the partner who is trusting will become. So this story is very interesting, and I'm sure nothing will be hidden. Once the president exits office, because he's going to exit, these things will not be hidden. And it will be very clear for every Kenyan, especially those who were blind and ignorant, side biasing, when that day comes. And I'm waiting for it. For some of us may never be able to talk about it for sure, because there will be outright dismissal, having been part of the political process then. But independent people will talk. And you saw one man who dared speak last week, who was the president's secretary for a long time, revealing for the first time some of the most deeply buried secrets of presidency. Njiro is speaking about things. A man who has no political ambition, who cares not about any political side, who does not support any political functions, currently and secretly, but started speaking about things. I believe also there shall be a man in Uhuru and Ruto government since 2013 who will lay bare what happened. So this word unsuspecting for us is a real word, because we have seen the grinding pain of it since beginning.
I want us to talk about something that engineer has talked about, and that is probably the implications of having Rigathi as UDA's running mate. That is on page 10 of the Daily Nation. Rigathi should be disqualified over 200 million shillings case, says Raila. Engineer, quite interesting. It's just 7 days to the general election, and you had brought it up. It's an interesting point. That is a possibility that someone is going probably for a constitutional interpretation of his eligibility to vie. And I want us to go back there again. Do you think this is probably priming Kenyans for things to come? Are we being prepared for things to come after next week?
I think this is also a good opportunity for the country to find a mechanism where if the president and the deputy president fail to work together, they may be able to find a mechanism to remove each other, to break that relationship. Because as Gachagua stands today, there are questions about his integrity. And in terms of chapter 6, he definitely has not ticked all the boxes. So does he qualify to be deputy president? Then what happens if they are elected together on the 9th of August? Will Ruto be required by law to dismiss him? How will he do that? Then we come back to Uhuru Kenyatta, Ruto's presidency. Ruto was a deputy president. As you have seen, there are things that went wrong between them. Why was Uhuru not able to remove him as a deputy president? Was there a constitutional mechanism that failed him to do that? So the issue of Gachagua being challenged in court, to whatever level it will go, whether it's even at the Supreme Court, will require that we relook the way the deputy president and the president are structured when it comes to be to forming the presidency. And I hope that direction can be set so that in the event we have a deputy president who fails to work well with the president, there is a way to be able to break that relationship and allow the current country to go. But then just to add on the issue of Uhuru Kenyatta's presidency, I believe he had the opportunity to explain to us. His failure to explain to us, it's only him who knows best what was the issue. When it came to these issues of donations, all of us questioned, well, how would somebody be able to give donations every week in millions and millions? The president has the intelligence system. He would know that at this Harambee, I was mentioned that I've given 1 million and I'm not aware. He would have stopped. So he cannot say that he didn't know. He knew, probably he allowed it to happen. And I would wish he would remove himself from playing the active role now of pushing for the Azimio by bringing up issues, because it is not helping Raila at all. He should allow Raila and Mother Karua to run this race alone for the next 7 days. Let them win on their own right, not on the merit of his failed relationship with the deputy president, because it is not helping the country, it is not helping the Azimio formation, it's not even helping many candidates who want to associate with Azimio, who want to reach out to the numbers Kenodia here is looking for, that probably don't agree with the president as a person, may want to support Raila, but may not agree with the president because of his failure not to speak to his people for the 5 years he was there. So I think it's best that the president steps aside, allows Raila and Mother Karua to run their own race, and allow the president also to run his own race without trying to muddy each other.
Well, Dr. John, page 11 of the Daily Nation. Ruto accuses Uhuru of a plot to disrupt elections. And this is where Ngaos, the provincial administration, has been mentioned severally. Ruto saying, we are aware of schemes to use chiefs and their assistants to mobilize youth to disrupt elections and cause violence in our strongholds. Just 7 days to the election. A lot can happen within those 7 days, and especially planned violence. Quite some worrying news there.
Yeah, especially for a head of state who is saying, nitafunga na mtu. That I'm going home, but I might go with somebody. Then there's every reason to be afraid. You know, they say if the only tool you have is a hammer, everything will be a nail.
But it's just a claim that the DP has made.
Right, alleged, isn't it?
Yes, it's
so if all you have is a hammer, you'll see everything as a nail, and you'll hammer them with the police and security and provincial administration under your office. I think to some extent the whole idea of do not outshine your boss was changed by this constitution, where sovereignty is the people. The people are the boss. It is not, you know, we are still stuck in the Machiavelli book of 1800, where, and I see it being cited so many times, do not outshine your boss. There is a principle there, there is good mannerism there, yes, but the whole idea is that we are all serving the people, and the people are the bosses. So that when you find that maybe your boss and you picked your deputy because there are things you think they are better and they can complement you. Just like even when we marry, we don't marry to lord over our spouses, but we marry because of complementarity. So if your wife is good at budgeting, you don't insist as the head of this household, I must be the one to do budget. And you are outshining me if you are organizing things a little better. That insecurity cannot be accepted in this generation. Number two, you know, and it comes with the framework that we have been framed. We have not uploaded the new constitution in our thinking. Even the idea of, well, if you don't want to resign, in other countries it's the boss who resign, because he understands that I cannot deliver my mandate. I was brought in with with my pair, we cannot work together. Why should it always be the deputy resigning? Why not the boss saying, since we cannot work together, let us go seek the mandate? But even beyond that, I think to some extent the whole idea of Mount Kenya politics, going there and campaigning, you know, it's a free country. we have in contract what is called anticipated breach. Anticipated breach means if Duncan Ojwang is supposed to come to your show by 6, it has reached 5:50. He is not answering his call. He is not there. He did not confirm your text last night. Then you can anticipate that this person is going to breach the contract, assuming we had a contract. You do not have to wait until 6 a.m. to say, I told you so. So as a rational human being, you are going to come with measures to mitigate your damages. We call it efficient breach in contract. So it is allowed. You can even go to court and say, I know Kinuthia is supposed to supply tomato in my supermarket on Thursday, but today is Tuesday. Kinuthia's market farm was flooded, all the tomatoes are destroyed. Should I just sit and wait until Thursday and say, see, Kinuthia, you are not going to supply the tomato? Or I go to court and tell court, since Kinuthia will not be able to supply, release me from this contract so that I then can seek another supplier. That is what the deputy president did. Ruto looked at the idea and looked at the plan that you are trying to succeed yourself and self-helped himself. That is what a rational human being does. You don't just sit there and say, I'm going to wait, why didn't you wait and see that betrayal? Nobody can do that, because I can see you setting up and see you preparing for that betrayal. Can the reason not to marry somebody if they were to be your spouse is because they told you, am I the only one? Marry me now. Can then you say that the reason now I left you, Jenny, is because you wanted marriage so much and you kept asking me, marry me, marry me. So I decided to marry Atieno because you were too ready. That cannot be a basis. Flimsy argument. So it cannot be, why didn't you wait until I breached? Yes, I was going to give you, but you were so anxious. Therefore, I decided not to give you. It doesn't make sense at all.
And I can see where you're going with that. But then again, on page 11 of the Daily Nation...
and sorry, about Gachagua, I think it is a big blow. But remember, it is not the determination of the criminal element.
Yes.
Yet. So there is nothing. It's a judgment. The case is not over. It is simply saying, the government take that money as we are waiting, but the trial of why you corrupt, why you guilty, has not been taken. So that means, and that is why Honorable Raila, being aware of that, can only make it a political statement of fire your DP. You know that if there was anything they could have held on, they would have been in court now. Kinuthia will have cancelled the show. They will have tagged very well. They will have been having matching ties and going to court and saying rule of law. So it is not determination of his guilty nature. Or its guiltiness. It is simply that this money is not accounted for, just like you can have not declared taxes or whatever. We are taking it, but the judgment or the hearing is still going on.
Okay.
So let people not be too excited too early.
Okay. Well, as we wind up, Wiper accuses Sonko of being a traitor for joining Kenya Kwanza. Engineer, there are people saying that all this time Sonko had been supporting DP Ruto and UDA, but he now has just decided to come out openly. Do you think that is the case?
I think it's not fair for Wiper to say that. It is Wiper that went looking for Sonko. They brought him on board. They gave him the ticket to certificate go and run for governor in Mombasa. Maybe they failed in terms of doing their background check and the strength of his case. And now things have fallen apart. So he has every right to go to the other formation where he can find a safe space and be able to thrive as a politician, because his political career does not end with Wiper. He is a Kenyan. He has every right to exercise it. He has a political base. He needs to be able to cash in wherever he can cash in. And he's looking for various positions, cabinet minister being one of them. And I believe every Kenyan who has clout should be able to negotiate for his space in this politics.
Kinuthia, very briefly, do you think all this time he was just a UDA mole? He was supporting UDA? but he just decided to come out openly about it.
No, I think what engineer has said is right. Well, the party first looked for him, and the party was trying to show him strength in his lowest point of political career. Because, as you know, Jubilee would not have talked to him. As you know, ODM would not have talked to him. And as you know also, no political party that has clout in Kenya would have looked for him, being a man he is, and being accused of the things he was accused of, economic crimes, abuse of office, and the habit of recording people. These things should not have worked for anybody, except that as a kinsman, Kalonzo went for him at a great detriment of many people, including partners in Azimio, because they claimed the Azimio candidate in Mombasa would have been Abdul Swamad, ODM candidate. But now Wiper is coming up and saying, yes, we can sponsor him to vie in Mombasa. It was a shock for everybody. So he did not betray the party, but he may have betrayed the party leader who held his hand in his lowest point of weakness. And because the man he has joined is a man that has told Kalonzo all the things Kalonzo has never heard about himself, including the fact that in Kitui, the man Sonko has joined told Kalonzo that he would give him a job and that he should ditch Wakora and come back home where he belongs, and such things. And I think Kalonzo, being a senior politician in this country, must be hurt by some of the sentiments coming from political juniors in terms of, Dr. Juang will tell you that in law, in the profession of law, there is a word called senior. If I am admitted to the bar before you, even for an hour, I remain your senior for the longest time as far as we live in terms of this profession. So I think, well, the claim of betrayal is there, and but it is a betrayal that has no thus political consequences to the party, because the party has remained firmly behind the Azimio candidate, and the party has distanced itself from Sonko's move. Whether that one will be confirmed by the party leader of Wiper, time will tell.
Okay, well, time now for a very short break. We'll be right back. We're talking about state of the nation. Don't go away. We'll be right back. Well, I understand that, we've come to the end of the show, State of the Nation. Well, thank you very much, Dr. Duncan Ojwang, then Asante Sana Zaki Nuvia, who's the MP candidate, Kigumo constituency. I have to title Dean, Law, African Nazarene University. And then, of course, Engineer Crispus Wadhimba, who's the Nakuru senatorial aspirant as an independent candidate. Asante Sana for finding time to grace our show.
For asking for votes. I think this
we'll invoice you. Our marketing team will invoice you.
No problem, no problem.
We can give them a
we
chance.
can pay.
If we win, we'll pay. If we don't win,
then it will not have helped.
Yeah, it will have helped us. And I
so
think,
very
briefly on this one, ours is an appeal of memory that people who will be voting, especially in my constituency, Kigumo, to remember that time for the men who can do the job has come. And I've told them in all ranks, whether that is the president or the way to the MCA. And because I'm offering myself for the position of the member of parliament, I still remind my people in Kigumo, especially the ones watching like Peter Mashari and Gatia in Kangari, to remember on Tuesday to vote Zach Kinuthia. We are 13 candidates, and I'm unique in both photo and colors. Okay. So they should not forget about everything. My job has been enumerated, my manifesto has been sold, my work have been shown, and I've proved my worth. So it's a matter of them voting for me. Once they put me in parliament, again they shall not regret. I am asking all the people who reside out of Kigumo to speak to their cousins and kinsmen in Kigumo to extend their vote for me as an MP on Tuesday night.
Engineer Wadhimba.
Thank you.
In 10 seconds or less.
No problem. I'm just calling upon the people of Nakuru County, 9th of August, Senator seat, give it to Engineer Crispus Wadhimba. I'm the number 8 on the ballot paper. There are 10 of us. But my candidacy is very special. I'm an independent candidate. And my call here is to protect the interests of Nakuru and to be able to be that person who can make a difference in that office of the Senate. But most important is peace, 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 peace in this general election. Let us remain peaceful, vote peacefully, campaign peacefully, and be able to protect the sanity of this country.
Thank you very much. That